Hello, welcome to the Horror of It All movie podcast. I'm Eric. Today I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite VSA releases from Vinegar Syndrome, or Vinegar Syndrome Archive releases. As you can see, I do have a box. I'm going to do a quick unboxing first and then dive right into the VSAs. This is my partner labels from November, which started shipping pre-Black Friday sale, which is cool. I did see Justin Liberty said that they would be shipping out, mid-month, so here we are. I'm recording this the weekend before the Black Friday sale, but only got a few things. Got my staples, and yeah. Here we go. So just one pack this time. And in case anybody is curious, if you're new, when I say staples for me, I'm talking about AGFA, Fun City, Culture Shock Releasing, and Saturn's Core. Those are my four that I always go to. And then I'll add a couple if there is any. That I would like. This month there was no Fun City, but I still did get 5 releases. The first one I got, I watched the trailer. It looks pretty interesting. I have not seen it. It's called Minefield with Michael Ironside and Christopher Plummer. And the label is Canadian International Pictures. As I already said, of course, my staple, so I don't always go for Canadian. It really depends on what there is. I do have a few of them, if you've seen any of my other unboxings. Alright, we got a book. Got that. Got a reverse art. I guess, yeah, since it's different. But yeah, that's the book. The booklet. But yeah, I am not familiar with this. I believe I've heard of it. There is a bunch of special features on here, like an interview with original director. Not quite sure what that means. If there was multiple directors, possibly. I don't know. It could be taken that the wrong way. Producer, interview with actress, and a couple of different things. So, yeah. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with it. Next up, Culture Shock one that I am intrigued by for sure. Mind, Body, and Soul. Looks pretty good. And honestly, when I first saw this, it, to me, looked like it could have been a Vinegar Syndrome release, which would have been cool, but I love Culture Shock too, so. And that's the other art, which I shouldn't have gave you a glare there. Sorry about that. There is no reverse. It's just a shot from the movie. But I mean, come on, we got it's Rick Sloan of Hobgoblins fame, as well as other things that might not do him justice, but I like Hobgoblins. It's fun. This definitely looks nothing like that, but we got Wings Hauser and Ginger Lynn Allen, so pretty good cast. I'd say out of all these, this might be the one I'm most intrigued for. This is the Saturn's Core. They're just trucking right along. 17. I love the way that looks with the Saturn's Core. It's like black. That's the... I don't know why I keep doing that. It's late. I'm not thinking. There you go. Still glare because of the plastic. A slick plot-driven film ripe with interesting ideas. The good book is a refreshing change of pace in the world of low-budget, shot-on-video B-movies. And that was said by Flipside Movie Emporium. There's the super lo-fi art, which actually is kind of creepy. I assume that's the original VHS art, because it's the shape of it. And as always, Saturn's Core has a ton of special features. So yeah, between short films and the making of Drop Dead Films, a feature-length documentary chronicling the complete history of the Good Book and Drop Dead Films. So that's pretty cool. Feature with a feature. They always have a lot on here, but you figure shot on video, it doesn't take a lot of space on the disc. So, and I did get the Doris Wishman Daylight Years. So now we got the first one technically, if you're going in order. But can go any order you want, really. But I do have all of them. And it's Agfa, so it's a staple. So, yeah. Agfa and something weird. We got... This is one thing I was really hoping for, which would have been cool. The movie Nude on the Moon, as well as another one, I believe, but I know for sure it's Nude on the Moon. Joe Bob, years ago, did this video series of the most sleazy movies in the world, in America. I can't remember the name of it. Comment below if you can remember that. I'm not sure. As I did mention Joe Bob before, I will be doing a Joe Bob video here soon. I just got to get it all together. I cannot show you anything in the book because there's a lot of nudity, as there is in Doris Wishman movies. This one has Nude on the Moon, Blaze Star Goes Nudist, Hideout in the Sun, Gentlemen Prefer Nature Girls, Diary of a Nudist, and The Prince and the Nature Girl. So, definitely her nudity cutie era. And the cool thing with these is there's magnets, so they go all together. And I think you can go... I don't feel any magnets in the front like the other ones, so maybe it can't go. I think it will. I think so. Yeah, I think I feel something. So I think you can put these in any order you want. I'll probably go, and it might trigger somebody's OCD, but I'll probably go Daylight. What is it? I can't remember, but I'll probably go in the order of the films themselves as opposed to the box sets, which went backwards. But and last, but hopefully not least, Dark Star release. The Icarus Line Must Die. It is a music movie. Gist of it was Icarus Must Die is the dramatic narrative feature set against the backdrop of the current LA underground music scene. So yeah, there's the gist for you. I don't get a lot of the Dark Stars, but I believe I have a couple. But this one looked really interesting, and I probably would have been only able to get one extra because of the Doris Wishman set, but there was no Fun City, so I was able to get two. So, yeah. This is probably the second one I'm most intrigued by, or it might be the best one. Who knows? I might like it the most. Who knows? Dark Star has like 8, so yeah, I have a couple. But yeah, that is my order for November, other than, of course, the Vinegar Syndrome stuff, which will come in December at some point. The Black Friday stuff, because I did do the Flash pre-order, as I always do. I'm hoping if all goes well, I'll be able to subscribe in January. If anybody doesn't follow this stuff and is curious about that, they're doing something different this year and probably going forward. Their subscriber package will not be available during the sale, but they will have a coupon that you can... how does it go? It costs $25, and you like reserve your subscription kind of thing, so to speak. But then they'll give you a $50 coupon towards it. And that's only for non-subscribers. Regular subscribers will get this anyway. You don't need to do that little reserve thing. I don't quite understand it by reserve, because you're not really reserving anything, but hopefully if all goes well, I'll be able to do that. Not sure if I'll get that $25 thing. I would like to, but it will all depend on what there is, and Severin's going to be the same time, and even though this is a Vinegar Syndrome centered video, I do not have a new Severin video in time for the sale, but I wanted to mention, man, they just fucking killed it with their slate this year. I mean, Four Flies on Grey Velvet on 4K was just announced with a ton of special features and the score. It's like, that was my comment. And then 5 Days, which is a movie that's always been like missing. Like, I've never seen it. I've only heard about it. I've heard of it. It's lore, so to speak. It's like it's there, but we can't. And as well as quite a few other good ones that I'm definitely looking forward to, like Mario Bava's last film last thing he ever did, which honestly I always thought was shock. I didn't know anything about this, which is co-directed by his son Lamberto Bava, which I've talked about before. I'm a huge Lamberto Bava fan as well. He did like Demons and stuff like that, so he has quite the lineup of movies. So anyway, I have rambled on enough. This video is going to be long enough as it is, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. If anybody's watching this, they kind of already have an idea. I do know, because I hear people on the internet and different channels that aren't giant VSA fans, but they just collect them. I personally would say I'm in the bracket of, I don't necessarily like a lot of them as much as Vinegar Syndrome releases, but I do really enjoy the VSAs, and I know a lot of people have done rankings, and that's what I was initially going to do, but they release them frequently enough that it was getting monotonous. Not monotonous, but a little too much to be like, when am I going to do it? There's always new ones, and then I got to watch those, and so then I was like, well, maybe I'll do like my ranking of the first 15. That didn't end up working, so I was just like, you know what, I'm going to be different. I'm going to do my top 10 favorite Vinegar Syndrome Archive releases, aka VSA, which is the same thing, just abbreviation, obviously. That didn't have to be said. Now, my order is, some of these are definitely going to be ones that are not people's favorites, but again, it's my favorites. People don't have to get upset about what they like and everything. It's really okay. But I always get a kick out of that personally. Like, people act like their opinion is a fact, and I'm not going to get into that, but this does involve it. So there is going to be times in this where I'd already know there will be people like, what is he talking about? Again, they're my favorites. So yeah. I'm going to dive right into it. Like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but number 10 is the most recent one that I got, Moon of the Wolf. I haven't heard too many good things about this, honestly, but I don't pay attention to that. A lot of times when something is like that, or something, gets, people don't like it or whatever, I tend to like it more, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I think maybe a lot of people were expecting more of a werewolf movie. It's not really that. It's more of like it's a TV drama from the 70s. But I had a lot of fun with it, and it wasn't that long, 75 minutes. It wasn't very violent, but again, you got to keep in mind it was the 70s. It was a TV movie. But yeah. I thought it was a breeze to get through, and I really enjoyed it. I have gone into all these, I believe, with unboxing, so I don't even know why I took it out. But yeah, so that's my number 10, Moon of the Wolf. Number 8 is Grave Secrets. I believe this one I watched a little while ago. Yeah, this is number 13. Who was in it? Wasn't producer of Children of the Corn. It's also known as Secret Screams. I'm trying to see who it was that I was thinking of, because I believe I can't remember. I feel like wasn't Lee Ving in this, or am I thinking of something else? I'm pretty sure it was Grave Secrets. There isn't a lot on here. Some of them don't have a lot. This does have one audio interview. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Lee Ving was in this. That's what I remember. But a little gist of it is, the first feature film to be directed by genre film producer Donald P. Borchers of Children of the Corn fame. It is a deliberate throwback to classic haunted house chillers, and stars Paul Lee Matt of American Graffiti, as well as, let's see, who else is in it? David Warner, who was in The Mouth of Madness. Olivia Barsh, who was in Repo Man. It has a cinematographer of Jamie Thompson, who did Decline of Western Civilization 3. But yeah, that's going to bug me. I really do. It's been a while since I saw this, but I'm pretty sure Lee Ving was in it. May not be a main star or anything, but all right. If I'm right or wrong, let me know in the comments if you can. Number 8 is VSA number 8, and is Spellcaster. I've watched this one a few times actually, and the more I watch it, the more I actually do enjoy it. This one does have an interview with the director and a still gallery. One of the series of Castle films made in the mid-'80s by notorious exploitation producer Charlie Band of Puppet Master fame. Spellcaster is a creature effect-filled supernatural horror film featuring 80s new wave music icon Adam Ant. Now, he is on all the artwork and stuff, but I will say he's not in it until later in the movie. I feel like he's like, I don't want to say the end, but he's not like a main star necessarily. It says special appearance by him. I believe it has, not I believe, there's some weird kills in it. Like there is, I believe, a pig, wasn't it? There's a killer chair. It's some weird shit, but it's fun. I had fun with it. It's basically about this group of people who go to this like castle and get bumped off. So yeah, my number 8 is Spellcaster. Number 7, completely different movie, is Whatever It Takes. Very good cast. Fred Williamson, Don the Dragon Wilson, and Andrew Dice Clay. And Andrew Dice Clay is hilarious in this, and I'm a big fan of his. The gist of this is a perfect example of the type of action movies that lined the video store shelves back in the 90s. Whatever It Takes is an exceptional shoot 'em up, complete with fistfights, explosions, and beautiful women. This is definitely up there as one of the better movies. Now keep in mind, I say my favorites. I'm not necessarily saying that some of the ones later in my list to the beginning, like towards number 1 or number 1, are necessarily great films, I guess. Some movies are actually better movies, but I like them better for various reasons, if that makes sense. But yeah, Whatever It Takes. I personally think that the original art is terrible, but it does look like a video store art, so yeah. My number, what was I? Number 6 already. Alrighty. Alright. My number 5. No, it's not number 5. What am I saying here? Did I miss one? Hold on a second here. Sorry about that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 6 is The House of Usher. I personally had a lot of fun with this. I've also heard mixed things, but sometimes VSAs kind of get a bad rap, and they're not all great movies, but they're still fun, I think. The House of Usher itself, I thought was a pretty decent movie. It definitely has a good cast with Oliver Reed, Donald Pleasance. I believe this is one of those movies from the 80s where Donald Pleasance is usually, if not always, eating. I don't know what that was with him, but a fiendish contemporary reimagining of Edgar Allan Poe's Gothic classic. Alan Birkinshaw's The House of Usher, who did Killer's Moon, the 88 Films just put out, which I haven't seen yet, but it looks pretty bonkers. Stars acclaimed in the acclaimed thespian Oliver Reed, alongside with horror icon Donald Pleasance. Filled with perverse and gruesome twists. But yeah, I had fun with this. I thought it was pretty good. It is another one. A lot of these earlier ones seem to have like one interview, but I think a lot of them do actually. But that's fine. Sometimes I like that. Sometimes certain releases merit a lot of stuff. Or it doesn't merit, but I like it. And other times I'm like, I can get through so many more movies because I love special features. But sometimes I can get through more movies when there's not a lot of special features. So it's like there's pros and cons to it, but mostly pros because I love special features. But anyway, number 6, The House of Usher. All right, we're into my top 5 VSAs, and that is Action USA, one of my favorite low-budget action movies I've ever seen. There is a ridiculous amount of explosions. I remember watching it, and my youngest son loves explosions, so he started counting them. I don't remember how many there is, but there's quite a few, explosion after explosion. This one, on the other hand, does have a few more special feature-wise. It has a group commentary with the director, cinematographer, actor, and filmmaker. It has a Q&A with the director and filmmaker, Brian Trenchard Smith. I might have just butchered his name. I am a fan of him. I apologize. A Lost Gem, an interview with actor Gregory Scott Cummins. The feature directing debut of acclaimed stuntman Jon Stewart. Not that Jon Stewart. He did work in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Scorpio. Action USA is a film that delivers on its title and then some, kicking off with what might be the wildest car-turned-helicopter-turned-car chase ever put on film. And the excitement never ends with a near non-stop assault of expertly staged fights, explosions, plenty of car chases, and so much more. Action USA is one of the most fun movies I've ever seen, and I would say it's definitely my favorite action movie of the VSAs. I know they have a lot of action movies, kinda, like to the point where maybe some people get confused if they don't know it means Vinegar Syndrome Archive, like after the store. That maybe it means Vinegar Syndrome Action, but it does not. But this went pretty quickly, and then somebody else released it, so I know a lot of people were like, what the fuck? But I prefer this version, especially because it's a VSA and it has the nice hard thing. Can't remember who it was that released it, but I love that art. I love it. Blast. I'd say my top 5 is a very big mixture of hell of a fun movie and very acquired taste. Number 4. Number 4 might be the best, again, in my opinion, movie in the VSAs that I think... Anyway, my number 4 is The Grave. I haven't been saying the numbers, but I'm sure you guys get it. Action USA is 11. House of Usher was 12. Whatever It Takes was 16. And I believe I said the other ones. But yeah, The Grave kind of reminds me of a Tales from the Crypt episode that is a full-length movie, or like a Tales from the Crypt type movie, because they did those, of course. Good friends, for Jesus' sake, forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. I think that says dust. Vest? Anyway, it's hard to read on the back. That's not the point. That's the back. The cast is really good. Craig Schaefer, Keith David, Eric Roberts is in it. Anthony Michael Hall's in it. I got super excited about Giovanni Ribisi being in it. No, I said it right the first time. Ribisi in it. But, unfortunately, I think he only has one scene, but it's still pretty good. And, idiosyncratic and highly entertaining entry in the post-Tarantino indie crime cinema of the mid-90s. That kind of sums it up pretty good. There's a ton of special features on here, actually. There's a commentary with the director. There's an interview with the director and the writer-director. There's an interview with Keith David of They Live fame and many other things, The Thing. There's an interview with the cinematographer, and there's an interview with special effects people. There's an interview with the composer. But yeah, I don't know why I just took that out. But my number 4 favorite VSA is... I gotta mention it being a VSA thing. Some of these are really tight, and they can fuck up the plastic if you don't do it right. But a friend of mine said, squeeze it a little bit, you put it in, and it actually is a little bit easier. The Grave, number 4. Number 3 is one that I stupidly, because this was earlier, this is the second one. Much before. I've been getting Vinegar Syndrome stuff since 2013, but really got into them like shortly after that, be it like at conventions and stuff, and then I started buying from them directly. But this was the second one, and unfortunately, I didn't end up getting, for whatever reason, I got this, but it didn't come with a poster, and then I kept forgetting to let them know, and then unfortunately it was too late and they didn't have any more. They're usually really good about helping with that, but that's what you get for waiting and missing out on it, and I bought it right before they put them back up, so I don't usually go the eBay route. That was my whole point of that, sorry. But I got it, and it's one of my absolute favorite movies. I've watched it multiple times. I know some people call it a mess. I do not. Evils in the Night is a release by Vinegar Syndrome that, well, I believe had something to do with the filming schedule of this. I prefer Evil Town way more. It's basically a really creepy story about this, well, evil town of these elderly people who, when people stop by, they try to kidnap him and somehow get their, like, youth or something, and it keeps them going and going. I didn't explain it very well. I will let Vinegar Syndrome explain it. I think it's a pretty creepy movie, personally. A troubled production from the mid-'70s beginnings. Evil Town's started life as Dr. Shanges and was helmed by various directors in different points, including a young Curtis Hanson who did L.A. Confidential. In the early 80s, producer Marty Rustem bought the film and further retooled it, and adding additional moments and sleaze and strange subplot brewed from his own film, Evils of the Night, eventually retitling it Evil Town. This bizarro mutant film epitomizes the lengths producers would go to remarket their work for the video era. There is there's an audio interview on here, and then there is a little comparison, what do they call it? Compare and contrast between Evil Town and Evils of the Night. The place where terror dwells. But yeah, I'll even put it out there if anybody. I know you don't. Nobody's gonna want to do that, but I almost had a poster. I almost bought a poster from somebody, but that didn't end up working out. But if I ever get a poster for it, that would be great. Before I realized that thing, I did have to replace the case at one point because I did rip the plastic. But my number 3, I know that was a lot of useless information. Just get to it. Number 3, Evil Town. My number 2 is, I was hoping for a good movie, and I think I got a pretty great movie personally. I don't like the art on here. I prefer the art on reverse, but my number 2 favorite VSA is Red Surf. George Clooney's in it. Doug Savant is in it. Gene Simmons is in it. He doesn't have a huge role, but what he does is he's pretty badass in this, I gotta say. I actually did a little review. I don't do reviews really, but of this on my Letterboxd. I think I've talked about it before in what I've been watching, but little gist for Red Surf is overflowing with drugs, booze, and guns. Red Surf is a violent look at 80s surfing culture in California, featuring surprise performances from George Clooney as a drug-addicted Ramar. I think that's how you said his name. This is also number 24. Sorry about that. Let's see. Where was I? One of his first leading roles, as well as strong performances from Doug Savant, who was in Teen Wolf, as well as strong performances... 80s heartthrob Dee Dee Pfeiffer. She was... I remember... in a different way, she was in a cameo on Seinfeld when George went up to her and was like, "Hi, I'm George. I'm unemployed and I live with my parents." And she's like, "I'm Victoria. Hi." That's the same girl in this. She's also, Michelle Pfeiffer's sister. And of course, Kiss singer, bassist Gene Simmons of Trick or Treat fame, which really needs a good Blu-ray. I have a German one that's fine. I watch it every year. It looks good, but I really prefer a good Blu-ray. But I had a blast with this. I actually have. I've seen it. I think I've only watched it once. I might have watched it twice, but it's definitely ready for a rewatch. But as I said, I'm not a fan of the art on there. Unfortunately, I like this art much more personally. But yeah, my number 2, Red Surf. Now, before I get to my one that a lot of people are going to be like, "What the fuck is that guy talking about?" Because it's across the board for the most part with people. I'm going to say a few, I'm not going to get into them, but a few honorable mentions as I usually do. Fortress of America. Had a blast with it. I remember my friend said that, a friend of mine said he wasn't super into it, but you're probably going to love it. And I did. Didn't quite make my top 10, but one of the gorier action films to be produced by Trauma's golden age. Offers up non-stop barrage of brutality, beheadings, impalings, stabbings, and copious amount of sex and nudity. Fortress of America. The infamous one that Vinegar Syndrome actually said, I know I keep going back to it, but that's number 20. My next one's number 21, actually. Red Surf was 24. Evil Town was 2. I said that. This next one was one that Vinegar Syndrome even said that it was one of those movies where it was a big reason for even doing VSAs, and that it was Wolfpack. It is kind of a fucked up movie. I had pretty good fun with it. Forgot to say special features here. There's quite a few on here. Interview with writer-director, interview with actor, interview with another actor for Fortress of America. That's the back. But Wolfpack. An allegorical, that's a hard things. This examination of the allure of groupthink and the power of fascism. Bill Millings of Nightmare in a Damaged Brain fame, love that movie, as well as The Vixens of Kung Fu. Wolfpack is a tense 80s update of the juvenile delinquent film. It has to do with like a football team in high school. It's Sam Adams High School. I highly recommend this. I really thought it was pretty good. But again, I am a fan of the VSAs for the most part. There are actually some, not very many really, maybe one or two that I'm not a fan of. I won't go into those. This is about the ones I do like. One that some people will be surprised and maybe thought that it was my number one, but the way I was talking about it, never mind. Is Champagne and Bullets. Back up. This is, I don't really, this kind of speaks for itself. A lot of people have talked about it. There's many versions on here. An almost indescribable action film and pure passion project by director, producer, and written by and starring John D. How the fuck do you say his name? John D. Hart. But this is a bonkers movie, for sure. Wings Hauser was fucked up in many scenes of this movie. Like, he just didn't, I don't think he took it seriously. I don't know, because it was just off the rails. It's definitely a blast of a movie. Maybe have a couple drinks or something. I'm not one that needs to watch a movie with a group. I actually prefer watch things by myself because I get more out of it personally, but I know a lot of people like that group dynamic. This is one of those group dynamic movies, if you like that. Me personally, like I said. And the last one that, well, out of all the movies they've released with Billy Banks and the slew of other people, this is the one I like the most, is TC 2000. I thought it was fun. It's not great, but it was something. It was fun. All right. I got to get to it here. My number one is... I already know it. I can already hear people. All right, that's when I stop the video. My number one is probably been across the board a lot of people's least favorite VSA. But the more times I watch it, the more times I genuinely fucking like this movie. Is it bad? Sure. But is it entertaining? It is really entertaining to me. And I'm almost afraid to say it. Dr. Jekyll's Dungeon of Death is my personal favorite VSA. I know, I just turned a lot of people off. But again, remember, that's what I was trying to warn you at the beginning. Is something like this. It's just bonkers. There's fight scenes that go on endlessly. There is... Oops, I was showing the wrong side. Or can I... Yeah. And there's just this psychotic fucking Dr. Jekyll doctor guy who... takes these people and makes them fight into the death, and there's this one woman that is always like this, and she's always like, but personally, I understand that it's not a great movie, but I find it good. Every time I watch it, the more I like it. A lot of people say it's too dark. I actually thought that added to it. I thought it makes it creepier. I don't know, there's just something about the atmosphere with this. The only non-X-rated title, directed by mysterious filmmaker James Wood. Dr. Jekyll's Dungeon of Death traverses, I think that's what it says, genre, I guess. I can't read great. Can't speak either, apparently, when it gets late. Genres ranging from horror, domestic drama, and brutal fight sequences, while boasting a surprising array of perverse and fetishistic torture sequences. Starring the mostly unknown cast, and the film balances widely between overwrought camp and surprisingly grim and unpleasant abuse in its bizarre characters. A victim of poor VHS qualities, and then the technical stuff with Vinegar Syndrome that I always love. Vinegar Syndrome Archives brings this truly unclassifiable exploitation oddity to Blu-ray. There is nothing on it but a still gallery and a trailer. Again, I understand it's not people's favorite. but it is mine. I'll live on this island. It's fine. I have a friend that actually doesn't mind it, doesn't like it as much as me, but I love this movie, and I'm going to watch it again soon. I think I've watched it like 4 or 5 times. So my number 1 favorite VSA, I know I'm crazy, Dr. Jekyll's Dungeon of Death. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little unboxing top 10 thing. I wanted to get a new video out for Vinegar Syndrome before the sale. Maybe they'll have another one. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But thanks for sticking around to the end. Check out my other Vinegar Syndrome stuff. Check out my other videos, rankings, unboxings, what I've been watching. I have a new one of those coming up. I usually like to do those maybe like once a month. I have only done one full one, but I used to do them at the end of unboxings. Anyway, thanks for checking out the video. Like and subscribe. And yeah. Hope everybody enjoys the Black Friday sale. I know I will. I'm super excited for Vinegar Syndrome as well as Severin. Severin fucking killed it. I have to say that one more time. Vinegar Syndrome did great too, but it's Vinegar Syndrome. We know this, man. But anyway, this has been the Horror of It All movie podcast. I'm Eric. Until next time.